can deal with the minutes and the one item that we want to table again, and then we could go to the end of the agenda and I could just mention the National Register report, or we can pick it up as soon as an applicant shows up.
Sure, that sounds good. All right, I'm going to get this party started then. First item on the agenda is obviously roll call. So when I say your name, respond with here. Cook?
Here.
Fowler?
Here.
Lambers? I see you. There you are. Nieves? Berlinski?
Here.
Shay?
Here.
And Ike, I am also here. So we at least have a quorum. I'm here in body and in spirit. Next up is the approval of the meeting minutes from the January 5 regular meeting. I don't know if everybody got a chance to read them over. They're pretty straightforward. I took a look at them. I didn't see anything that was unusual. So if somebody makes a motion to approve, we can get that moving.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
There are no more comments, then when I say your name, reply with approve or deny. Cook?
Approve.
Fowler?
Approve.
Lambers?
Approve.
Nieves?
Is this for meeting minutes? Sorry, my computer was being
It's
careful.
meeting minutes, yeah.
Oh,
Hey there.
Hi.
Hi. Berlinski?
Approve.
Shay?
Approve.
And Ike, I also approve. So the meeting minutes approval from January 5 passes. So next up is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. As far as I can see, we don't have anybody joining us. I just see all 9 squares and we're the usual suspects. So, and then Phil, did you want to go into the unfinished business? Is that the one that you wanted to table again?
Yes, Amy Lund from the church, Third Reformed Church, said that she's been preoccupied with a number of other things, and as far as the steps on the Pine Street side of the church, she asked to be tabled until the April meeting.
So do we need then to make a motion to table?
Yeah, you should. It automatically comes off the table because it was tabled to today specifically. So
we need to make a motion to take it off the table again.
it's already off because it's on the agenda. So
Can we move to approve it pending their showing up rather than just tabling it each week? Or, I mean, does that make sense?
you really should table to a specific date.
Okay.
So then do we table it to the, what is it, March 2?
April. She was suggesting April.
Oh, April, sorry. So that would be, that's April 6th.
Yeah.
So then we need someone to make a motion to table it till April 6th.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second the motion.
We got a Mark and a Nick on a boom, boom, like second to the motion. Okay.
Go, Nick.
If there aren't any comments, I'll go through roll call, approve or deny the motion. Cook,
Approve.
Fowler,
Approve.
Lambers.
Are
Did we
guys
lose
not hearing
Dustin?
me?
There
Are
you
you
go.
hearing me?
We are now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we are.
Okay, now you can. I don't know what's
Yes.
up, but I approve this one.
Cool. Nieves,
Approve.
Berlinski,
Approve.
Shay.
Approve.
I also approve. So this is tabled until April 6th. I'm not sure whose number we're seeing in the 616499. So I don't know if somebody's joined us or not.
Kilo. That's Kilo. Yeah.
That
I
is
guess you
Kilo.
need to let me in first. Yes, it is.
Okay. Hi, Kilo. Yeah, this is Kilo's the applicant for the first item under new business.
Great. So
Thank
then
you.
let's Phil, if you would like to take this one away for the COA application for 12 West 13th Street.
Yep, be happy to.
Thank you.
This is an application, as you just indicated, at 12 West 13th Street. That's in the Keppel Village Historic District. It is the one house on 13th Street that is part of that district, or a contributing building within that district. This came to our attention when our inspectors were out on their normal routes. And also, I guess one of our commission members spotted it as well. The front door on the porch has been replaced. It was done so without an application for a certificate of appropriateness. And we did not see it either as work was underway or until sometime after the installation. I can't even tell you when the installation occurred. Perhaps Kilo could. But we're here before you. Mallory, you've got some photographs, both of the house itself and the door on the house we're talking about. And then there are also some photographs of other front porch doors on the other houses within the district, or at least along Central Avenue within the district. I note in the memo that one of the distinguishing characteristics of this historic district is the similarities, or are the similarities between the various homes. This was an older photograph of the front door on this house before it was replaced. This is the replacement front door that was installed. And then Mallory, if you go down and just run through these next 3 or 4 are examples of the typical front doors that are on the homes. They're not the aluminum storm door that you saw in the picture before the door was replaced, but some variations in them, but generally similar in character.
Mhm.
So this is now before you. It does require a certificate of appropriateness. And I guess I don't have anything else to add to that. Kilo, is there anything you want to add to what I just said?
Well, just I wanted to add that the door that was replaced it wasn't even the door. It was a storm door with the very, very cheap aluminum screen door with just the glass attached to it. I don't know if you can see it from the picture, but it was I'd say back in 80s or 70s even, and then it was taped with a duct tape around it. So when the wind was blowing really hard, it opens by itself and so on. So I decided to just replace with a solid door, which I went through Menards and other hardware store and trying to find similar doors to our neighbors, just like you have a pictures on that page. And I had a lot of choices. Of course, if you go to the hardware store, there's the doors with the glasses and all the stuff. And then I picked the one the most closest to like that would fit to historic house. So just much less windows, glasses on the door itself. So I came up with that. I thought it was the best choice ever. And comparing to that aluminum screen door that came with the house when I bought it. So, but I failed to notified the commission, so that was my fault. But the door, it looks very, very nicer, and then very historic to me. I mean, it's only a color, I guess. It was a red, so I could, change the color to fit the other houses like white or whatever. But the door itself is very good, I think. I mean, I think it looks nice.
I have a question or two.
Yes.
Um, Is that a porch behind the red door? Is that a heated space in the house, or is that an exterior porch?
It is a porch. Yes. It's
Okay.
not the.
It's
There's another
not
door
heated.
to the house, of course. Yes. No.
Okay, so there's yet another exterior door that a person would walk through after this one
Yes.
to get in the
That is
house.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you
And then-
go, you can
Right.
see the window through it, John. I've been through all the
Mhm.
Keppel Village homes. And
Sure.
so you can see on the window that's on the
Yeah.
right, that's where the angled window is inside the
I see
home.
that.
But if you go
Mhm.
in the main door there and go straight all the way back, that leads into the primary door into the residence.
Okay. And what are the two blanks that are left and right of the door where the address is and the mail slot? Are those walls or what kind of division is that?
Yeah. They're just the walls, and on the left-hand side there's the mail slot,
Uh-huh.
and there's nothing on the right-hand side.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mallory, if you could go to the photograph before this of the older shot, you can see at least on one side, you've got that wall. It looks like maybe a little narrower on the right side, but
Mhm.
you had that condition there prior to that. And I assume probably this was probably the general condition of this when the district was designated back in 2010.
Mhm. And Phil, I think you've made an excellent point that the porches for all these houses sort of have their own life now. Clearly, everyone that has one porch like this, and I think there are 5 houses, I think, and I think 4 of them have a brick porch, but the brick clearly doesn't match the original house brick. So I guess we're talking about 2 different time frames that we might be trying to protect here. One is the original house and one is whenever these porches were added.
Well, and I think we know when those were added. If I remember correctly, weren't they added back? I thought we had a pretty good idea of when those were added.
Yeah, it was in the 20s or after at least,
I was
Mhm.
thinking maybe at the latest, the 30s, but
Yeah.
I think you're right, Mark.
But they're clearly a different brick, both in color and in composition. And then whether
Yes.
this one has brick behind it or not, who knows? The one with the,
I think
that we're
that was
looking-
clad, yeah.
yeah, it's got vinyl siding over something. So it's tricky because it's my initial thought is, gee, there probably shouldn't be an exterior door on a porch. On the other hand, I see that that's the case in a few cases here. And I suppose that an exterior door is a more secure door than a screen door would be.
I think the thing that to me, all the doors, and I can't tell looking at the pictures whether they're sort of exterior doors or just kind of a wooden storm door, I guess we used to call them,
Yeah.
is that they all feature quite a large window space, and especially the one that looks the most modern actually even has more window because it goes all the way down to the bottom sill. And one of the features, it seems, of those porches is kind of a light sort of airiness, and it just looks, I guess, strikingly different to have just a small window and a solid door. I mean, when I'm just looking at the impression of all those porches.
Mhm.
All
Yeah,
of
that's-
them you can see through into the brick that's on the, on the exterior wall of the Venta closet brick on the exterior wall of the original structure.
Yeah, it's almost as if the glazing is sort of incidental, but it's still trying to be a porch with clear, big openings everywhere. So to have a opaque door, it kind of goes against that openness of the porch.
I feel like if we had been presented with the question, absent a door chosen already, we probably, or at least I would have nudged in the direction of something more with more glass in it myself.
Like this one we're looking at, Mark?
Yeah, or even, it doesn't even have to have that much glass, even up to
Okay.
about the sill. Like if you look at most, that one has, I can't tell, is that 3 or 4 glass panels? Is the bottom panel glass or is that solid?
The very bottom, it's 4 glass panels and then
Okay.
and then wood at
Yeah,
the bottom.
so yeah, that one or even the large plain one, I guess. It's nice. The other ones all have some sort of division in them, and that's a nice feature. I don't even, and that particular one, the high line of the windows is carried through the door as well. So, yeah, whether you could get one that matched, and this door is recessed, so it has those side light panels, but then the solid facings, so it's a little bit different, but
Sure.
yeah. Again, I guess for me, I would have, nudged toward a more open door or glass.
Agreed. Can I ask a question, Phil? Procedurally, normally when someone applies for a building permit, doesn't the building inspector speak up and say you need to run this by the HDC?
Yeah, typically they do. The replacement of a door like this, I'm not sure. It's an
I don't
interesting.
think that's I don't think if I'm right, Phil, I don't think that you need a building inspector to replace a door.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I don't think so either.
Okay.
But I think they would have, if they had seen it in action or had known about it, I think they would have referred it to us.
Okay, thanks.
So Phil, can we have a, just a review of what the options are here then?
Yeah, you can approve it as it is. You could issue a notice to proceed, which in effect approves it. You could deny the current application and ask that a new solution be brought forward, or you could table it and do the same thing. Table it for a period of time and request an alternative solution be brought forward.
Thank you.
Yep. And
if
yeah.
I may, can I suggest one thing?
Sure.
Maybe if the door is not the red one, if I paint it white, it might not just stand out. So if I can paint it white, it might fit, surroundings. And then it looks closer to the other house's door. So even though there are less glasses, but that might be more of an appropriate color to that building, I'd say. And then also, I don't know if I can find a door that's similar to those doors in the picture, so that might be an issue as well.
That full glass door is a pretty standard product. I think it's available in any size, 30, 32, 34, 36.
Okay.
I do think there's something going on with the surround on this particular porch. that is less transparent than the others that probably is obviously was there prior to this door change, where the
Right.
address numbers are attached and stuff, it's all opaque as well. It's not quite the same language as the rest of those porch entrances, I guess, because those are more like the doors trying to blend in with the other glazing. And here he's got kind of this non-transparent section of it that's bigger than just the door.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting panel material. It's not wood. I'm not sure exactly what that material is.
I think if we were on the commission when that was proposed, we would have said no way, because that just fundamentally changes that porch. But that's not where we're at. He's working within the context of that odd panel, not odd, I don't want to say odd, but that unique paneling. And so maybe even though we're talking about how we would, I know for me, I would prefer to see more of a glass door like the windows, in theory, but I wonder if the effect is still going to be lost because of the paneling around it.
Mhm.
And then that kind of segues into this idea of what if it were painted white. Now we don't really we're not supposed to care about paint colors. We're not supposed to, direct paint colors or really have an opinion about that. But maybe that does kind of resolve part of the issue for me, is that less of a exterior door kind of in this red that doesn't seem to match. And I don't mean match in terms of color. I mean match in terms of where it belongs. It's it's more of the front door that you would go into the house as opposed to get into the porch. But in this case, with that panel, I may be less inclined to be such a purist about it.
I'm just curious, Nick, do you think that in the original construction, those panels would have been glazed? Would they have been windows?
I would,
on both-
yeah, maybe, Mark, maybe
I mean,
that
just-
something's odd there. Maybe, yeah, you can see the glazing does turn the corner
Mhm.
and go back into this little recessed area. So, it's not,
Oh.
my first theory was like, well, maybe that panel got recessed later and it was all flush at one point, but then there's those little side windows. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's just not, there's nothing pure about it to really try to be
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
theoretical about.
Yeah, just interested. It's just, especially when you look at all the other, even though the other ones have variations, none of them have the recess. I don't think. And then, and then none of them have the solid panel. So
That looks recessed.
that's
Yeah,
the
but
same
that's
house.
12,
That's
isn't
the
it?
same house.
Yeah, I would just offer an observation. I don't believe you can stand out in the street out at the corner and see this front door and the other front doors essentially in one view. So it is a relatively isolated
Yeah.
house on 13th Street, at least from this view.
Yeah. It'd be nice to kind of get a better sense of the character of that little glass light in the middle. Is there a pattern in there, or
Yeah, I think there's a pattern in it. I guess we could, I'm not sure, but maybe we should replace the glass with just a plain glass as the others look like. I don't know
Well,
if it's possible, but
yeah, that's probably more trouble than it's worth if this is a manufactured door. But the reason I ask is that some of those patterns try to be of a certain style. So they might try to be like a
Right.
craftsman pattern or a prairie school pattern or what have you, which, for your house may or may not match your house. And I'm just curious, but I'm not,
Right.
I don't, I guess it's not essential for me. I'm just curious.
Are the two panels on either side of the door, is that a sort of a gray, or is it just the way the picture is? Is it a different color? It looks like it's slightly different color than the frame of the door.
It is. I don't know if you can, got this on my phone. I don't know if that's visible to you or not. You can see the frame and the wall and the frame around the door are a different color. You can also see the pattern in the window itself.
Okay.
Mhm.
I guess I was just now that I'm thinking about it, if you're going to paint the door, maybe I'd choose the whatever that soft color is of the panels rather than a white. But anyway, you know, that's I kind of agree with Nick. It's like, well, we might say that would blend the front of the house better, but I don't know that I would make it a condition of accepting the door.
I don't know. These are always tricky to deal with because these are projects that went ahead without a certificate of appropriateness. So from a procedural standpoint, it's not something that we ever want to encourage. And yet at the same time, I don't think that anybody is out to, you know, be on lookout for how do we make people do rework on their home projects either. So it puts us in a really, I think, tricky position. I for one, I really hate these, and I don't think that they establish any kind of precedent, but I still think they kind of do, if maybe not in a legal sense, but in a certain sense, they sort of do. But in this particular case, I would be pretty, you know, I don't know if okay with is the right word, but I would be open to just a painted white or a paint this to match the color of the paneling adjacent to it kind of thing. It's definitely not ideal. We would have tried to advise on other solutions if given the opportunity in the first place, but that's just kind of where I'm at personally.
I agree with Nick. If this could have been a full glass door, that would be a real improvement. On the other hand, then would we look at these two panels left and right and say, gosh, those are inconsistent, or even above the door. You know, it looks like there's a good 8 inches above the door that's sort of blanked out. Where I think the 1920s version of this would have been as much glass as possible, but we're a little far down the road for that now.
So can we make the COA conditional upon repainting the door? Is that something we can?
If Kilo's comfortable with that, we can attach that.
Yes, I would go ahead and paint it with the same color as the not the frame on the door, but the panel around the door, right? Just yeah, I could do that. That'd be great.
Okay.
Did we lose Kim?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
So it sounds as if a couple of the commissioners are trying to work towards approving or making a motion to approve the COA the way that it is. I know that things like this do not set precedents. I also know that it's out of character with any of the other homes that are part of the Keppel Village District.
Kim, I have the same feeling. On the other hand, if we simply swap this over to a full glass door, I have the feeling that then the appearance of the two side panels, and now that I think about it, the top would, and there's something that precedes this ownership. So I don't think we can do anything about that. But I feel as if we switch this to a full glass door, we wouldn't be getting what we hope for.
No, I mean, I understand completely what you're saying, John. I just know that I think we would have been in the same situation having this discussion, like Nick had said, and the same thing with Mark, that, if we had known about the door, we probably, as that was changing, we probably would have taken a look at evaluating what had happened previously that was not historic as well.
Certainly.
To throw my head in the ring, I think looking at the previous aluminum storm door with the glass that's on that one kind of gives me an idea of what it would look like if we did more of a full glass door. And I think that look does go along more with the other doors. I don't think those panels are, standing out too much and making too much of a barrier there, that it doesn't make sense to have a full glass door there. I think if this would have come up to us before it was done, we would have pushed for a full glass or something more like that than what's currently existing.
Well, I'd like to know too, if the panel on the right has been replaced, because it is wider now than the panel used to be in this particular image. So there's been more than just a door swap, it appears.
I wonder if it's just the angle of the photograph, Kim, because when you look at that top one, or the old one, it seems like you're looking at more of an angle on the porch. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I
Yeah,
just don't feel like it's a straight on photograph.
That could be too.
I mean, it's almost
I
like
did
the
not
whole
touch
door
it.
is smaller.
Yeah, exactly. And that can happen with two different cameras and two different lenses. So
Yeah, it's interesting, Justin. I think your point, when you look at the aluminum door, that has a bigger bottom panel than the newest of the doors, at least what we're presuming is the newest door, where the glass is all the way down to almost to the sill. And that actually creates more of the look of those other houses where there's a more solid section at the bottom than just glass going all the way down, which almost looks like a commercial door.
Right. I don't think we need to have all the doors on all the houses look the same. As you can see, they're all unique and all different. But I think one of the things that characterizes all of them is that they're glass doors. It's clearly a front porch. It's not an enclosed, livable space or living space. So having that glass kind of is more important to me, I think, than other factors.
Kim, you asked me for some options. I would say the notice to proceed probably isn't a viable option because there are criteria that need to be met for a notice to proceed. One is that the resource constitutes a hazard to safety of the public. That wouldn't apply. Resource is a deterrent to a major improvement program. That wouldn't apply. Retaining this resource will cause undue financial hardship to the owner when a government action, an act of God, or other events beyond the owner's control created the hardship. That doesn't exactly apply. And retaining the resource is not in the interest of the majority of the community.
So we can probably either do one of three things then. We can move to approve the COA application. We can move to deny the COA application, or we can table.
What would be the purpose of tabling?
Phil had purported it as another option should the owner want to come back with another altered COA.
Yeah, like a different door, basically.
A different solution other than the COA for what has already been replaced.
Well, and I guess if we denied it, or if we motioned to approve it and it didn't pass, he'd be in the same boat. He'd have to come back with something, right?
Yes.
So maybe we should table it and just,
Well, that's only if he's interested in coming back with something else. If he's interested in entertaining coming back with something else. I guess that's my.
okay.
The alternative is someone offer a motion and see if it gets supported and see what vote you get on it.
That's true too. I think we're all feeling conflicted, which is probably why nobody's jumping to.
Yeah, I don't feel particularly strongly about the motion that I had previously been thinking, because I'm hearing some good points as to why that glass, could still work.
I don't want to sway the commission, but you all are fairly versed in my passion for the Keppel Village homes, which is probably why I'm staying a little silent and letting the discussion unfold.
I feel like he should have came a lot sooner, and he would have had help getting an appropriate door. This is really sad that it's already there, and I don't know if I feel comfortable approving it, especially with that group of houses.
Yeah, I think I'm gathering that that's sort of how we're all feeling, because it is such a small, protected little group.
It would
But I don't want to
nice
speak for
if-
anybody. Somebody,
It would be nice if
Phil?
you could go back to a wood door that's lined up with the sills and window slats. I think
Phil,
the
I'm
lines
sorry,
would be better.
I'm sorry, somebody's speaking, but this is Kilo Imamura, and I'm sorry, but I have to get going to work. I was scheduled this meeting at 5 until 5:30, but now it's 5:42, and I need to get to work. Could you let me know what come out of this meeting by email? Is that okay?
Certainly.
That is fine, sure.
yes, of
Thank you.
course.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Good,
coming.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kilo.
I wait for your reply then. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Kilo.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like if we had had this, if we'd had this application, we might have suggested the full glass door, and it would not have been any more expensive than the door he got.
Well, that's exactly it, is if had we had seen this prior to the work, we would not
Yep.
have approved this.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
it's really simple, like none of
I
us
agree.
would have gone with that, especially
Mhm.
because we know it's a front porch. It should have the proper windows in it, so it just doesn't. And unfortunately, it makes it just look like a front door instead of entering into a porch, which
Right.
is my biggest problem with it. It's not the color. I don't care about that, but yeah, it doesn't look right at all.
Well, and it's not a surprise that this is part of the historic district. I know we are very lenient, understanding, I think to a fault. We bend over backwards to do as much as we can to work with homeowners.
Well, and especially on cases like this where the work has already been done.
Yeah,
You know, we are usually really lenient, but I mean, are we setting a precedence then that people can just do what they want and go for it? Then what's the point of this commission?
well, so that's really interesting, because while this door, if we left it the way it is and approved it, does not set a precedence, it can informally inform others that if you go ahead and do the work, like we have a number of others today that we're contending with, that you go ahead and do the work and then come back and ask for forgiveness, that will say that's all right. Which, you're right, Stephanie, then why do we have a historic district commission?
Right.
I mean, I can't approve it the way it is. So you can just
Right there with you.
Okay, thanks for saying that. Can you approve it, or how do you feel about it if it's a full glass door?
I feel a lot
it's
different
like-
if it's a full glass
like
door, because
Okay,
there's
even with
still,
those side panels.
yeah, even with the side panels. Now,
Okay.
and the reason why is because with the full glass door, it is still closer in intent and closer in consistency to how, because all the other homes have their own little nuances that are different too. But
Yeah,
with a
true.
full glass or almost full glass, even if it came down to the bottom sill and it was, the bottom, quarter or whatever was a solid material,
Mm-hmm.
all those porches, you can look through the windows and see the Vanaclazen brick behind them. And this
Yep.
one is very, very much a solid visual mass. So I could feel differently if the door were glass.
Okay. I'm a little concerned that maybe if the door were glass, then those two side panels would look worse, but
Well,
maybe
I guess Justin's point though about how it looked with the aluminum screen, with the aluminum door,
sure.
I'll tell you, that looks better than what's on there now, in my opinion.
And
Okay.
that did it for me too. When Justin reminded us to go back and look at that as a kind of a test fit, I see Justin's point there.
And those panels are weird. They're like plastic with,
Really?
Yeah.
with a brad nailer that's been shot through them. So they are. I've looked at it. So,
Wow.
but I'll tell you that aluminum
Makes you want
door.
to peel that stuff off because you wonder.
Oh, I
what's
know. I
underneath
just want to
it.
get in there.
I mean, there could be like little recessed panels or something, or
I know it's like discovering a secret. I'm like, what is behind those things?
Yeah.
So if it were full glass, or even if it was back to an aluminum screen, if he had replaced it with another aluminum screen door, I probably could have just gotten
Like
past
a white aluminum screen door, you probably wouldn't have even thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it looked just like that, only white.
Right, yeah. Could have been painted.
Yeah.
not with the duct tape. It was pretty
Yeah.
bad. I mean, to
You
his
gotta buy white
to his
duct
point,
tape.
it was, yeah. It was
That's
pretty bad.
decorator duct tape.
That's right. That's the dollar extra stuff. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. And I don't like asking people to redo stuff. That feels bad, but at the same point, we're kind of, our goal is to be guardians for these homes through the different homeowners that go through them. You know, each of our homes, we're one of many homeowners over the life of it. So that's the way I look at it.
So, I mean, he's not here to answer the question, but it seems like that door is like the front door of a house door, as opposed to I don't know what they're called, but I would call a storm door.
Storm door, yeah.
Something like a porch door, storm door,
Yep.
something that's, I would think that even a glass version of a storm door would be less expensive than a full solid front door. Is that?
Well, and it looks like it's got a deadbolt core
Yeah.
in it too.
Mhm.
And none of those other houses have a deadbolt core. And I mean, they might have yeah. So I would think it would be
But-
less expensive as well, Mark.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark, that
I mean, we're
in
not
whatever-
asking him to spend another $1,000 to
No.
fix a problem, as opposed to somebody who's got that, 500 feet of vinyl fencing that we're gonna look at next.
no, good point. We in our if we were to deny the current application, how would we best suggest that it doesn't have to be a main door? It could be a porch door, a lighter weight. I mean, this is a very secure, well, in fact, I don't see a doorbell, but I don't know if you knock on this door, does the person have to come out? I don't
The
know.
main door
Yeah.
and hear them. Yes, that's the way those houses are. I mean,
Okay.
we can certainly advise on what type of door he's going to have to bring it back. So,
Okay,
so there's an
Okay.
opportunity to advise him in the process to
right,
help him get to a resolution that we feel more comfortable with, and that he's
Okay.
also,
good.
he won't love it, but that he's more comfortable, we can help him get to a resolution.
Well, I'm ready to do a motion if you're ready to entertain a motion.
I think we're all ready. Whenever
Okay.
well, you know what? We'll find out quickly, won't we?
Okay.
Yeah,
I move to deny the application for a certificate of appropriateness as submitted and installed per testimony for a new front porch door at 12 West 13th Street, based on the local guidelines and Secretary of State Interior Standard Number 6. Deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new features shall match the olden design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence.
support.
Any other comments? Okay, then when I say your name, so if this is a motion to deny, so when you approve the motion, you will be agreeing to deny. So Cook,
Approve or support, yeah.
you both, I'm to support. Fowler,
Support.
Lambers,
Support.
Nieves,
Or
Berlinski,
Or
Shay.
Support.
I also support. So the motion to deny is supported and carries. So
Can-
Phil, Oh, go
Can
ahead.
Phil, can Phil convey to him that we'd be, and we would entertain a less substantial door?
that was going to be my question, Phil.
Okay.
Well, I said that total, that was poor English. John, that was going to be my question to Phil, is what I was trying to convey, but obviously did not. How can we convey to him, Phil, or can you convey to him sort of how the discussion went in terms of what we're looking for
Sure.
there?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I believe security is an issue for him, given his propensity to travel. And one of the reasons this was delayed in getting to you was that he just hasn't been in Holland very often. And I was trying to get it when he was here, so at least this might have been a little easier for him, or he could go out and look at the options. But yes, I can convey to him what the concerns are, and tell him he needs to come in with an alternative proposal.
It's hard because I know that we all do want to work with the homeowners, but I mean, I feel like we're making the right decision there. So that's my own personal
I agree.
2 cents. Okay, so I'm going to move on then to the next item. And I don't know, have we had anyone else join us, Mallory?
I see a Kay Cosson.
Yeah, we had one other, I'm not sure which application they're with, but there was one guest who has joined.
So let's see who that might be.
This is Kay Cawthon. I'm here with Harv Vandenbosch, and we were listening to the last 2 kilos hearing.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we're leaving the meeting now.
All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Phil, do we want to go through the next items, knowing that it's almost 6 o'clock and nobody else has joined us? We normally hate doing this unless we have a representative here, but with, especially with the layman's, they've been fairly active in these. So I'm surprised that they aren't here.
Yeah, I am too. And I've heard from Vince on the third one as well, and I thought he'd be here. I don't see, I guess I'd prefer to plow through them if you're able to, but I wouldn't, if it looks like there's a controversy over something, I wouldn't then spend a lot of time on it. But if there's an obvious answer to some of these, we might be able to get past them.
Well, so I'll say that with the layman's, I always, with their previous COAs, they've been incredibly thoughtful and very involved in the way they've handled their property. That's my opinion. But I have a feeling that there will still be questions that are outstanding, having read through the application. So I don't know if others felt it was straightforward or not. I felt like Vince Hannikin's was pretty straightforward. And then I know that we'll have to discuss the one for 272 West 10th.
Yep.
So I don't know how others feel. I'd like your input, gang.
I feel like the proposals were well written enough, and I have enough information to discuss them.
Okay. Does everyone else feel the same way?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I think to your point, if we have, or if it looks like we have more questions, then we can table it. But yeah, if we can vote on them and move through, let's do it.
Great. All right. Well, then let's move right into the 97 and 99 West 12th Street. And Phil, I'll let you kind of tee that up because you've probably spoken with the layman's, but it's to replace the 2 garage doors with a single wider one.
Yeah.
For accessibility reasons.
Yep. You've got photographs. The plan as proposed is a tiny image on here. Essentially, they're talking about the same style door, same material of the door, but just a single wider door. As you know, there's a disability issue with the owners of the house, and they have a van, an accessible van that they are indicating really needs a greater width of a door to be able to, because they need to park it more in the middle of the garage, so they've got access around it. They could better argue that, but that's my understanding of their argument on that. Otherwise, I know there's a tendency from the commission to prefer single doors rather than the longer door. But the material would be the same. Everything else about it is essentially the same as what it is, other than that, just changing that from a double to a single, a wide single.
I note that there's also another garage north of this 2-stall garage. There's a single. I don't see it on the sketches, but I think it's freestanding.
I'm not,
I looked at it today. Yeah, it's right. It's maybe 2 feet away or something. Well, maybe more than 2 because they're hanging a ladder there, but I looked at it today and I'm quite sure there are 3 doors were almost in a row as it is now.
you can almost, in this photograph, you can almost see it there, but
See it, yeah. I don't know if that changes how anybody feels. So what you'd have as you look at it now is a single door to the left and a double door to the right. And I don't know. Like me, they're on a corner, so they don't have the privacy that most people have.
Oh, you're right. It's a tiny,
Plain,
can you guys
yeah.
see my screen? Actually, let me see. I can't see my screen. Hang on, where am I? Okay,
Yep. Look at,
can you guys
yeah.
see that?
Yeah,
I think the whole thing is 10 feet wide. It's very,
Yeah, so that tiny one is not going to solve them if they've solved for them either if they've got
agreed. Yeah.
a van that they need accessibility around. I mean, but that's what it looks like. Yeah, I think what you're seeing there and just the edge of that photo that's up now is the very, like the lip of the roof
Yeah.
on the
Okay.
smaller one.
I just wanted to mention it's not the only garage, but
it's interesting, the idea of, I mean, this is just me thinking out loud, but the idea of making this modification, which they've done other modifications on the house too. So I get, to accommodate accessibility. And I don't know, like this one, it seems like something that, I don't know, you're taking away this sort of nice feature of the double door garage. And I get you're making the one single one, and that no homeowner is probably, the next homeowner is probably not going to restore the two garage doors, but I'm a little sad about it, I guess. Maybe.
The 2 garages are not the same style either, which is kind of interesting. So they're already going to look, you know what I mean? Like even look at the roof line on the 2. They're
yeah, true.
But I understand what you're saying, Mark, because the 2, it's so nice having those 2. I mean, it's really quite pretty. But
I
it
guess
doesn't meet the needs of the occupants, which is the exact same reason that we've made the breezeway change, the side addition change for the elevator lift.
So this, Phil, if you know, this isn't a van where the driver is going to get out and have a wheelchair drop down from above. It's
I do not.
More of a ramp or something, huh?
I do not know.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
There's a plan in the packet that shows a van parked in the middle, and it does show the access coming in from the south end of that. It might suggest a ramp up into the back of the van, but it's really hard to tell from this.
It's into the breezeway though, right? Isn't that?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So it's not the model where there's kind of a carrier on top that glides over and drops a wheelchair down. It's more a matter of the wheelchair person probably isn't the driver in this case.
I don't know the answer.
Okay, sorry. That's more than we probably need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I take it that they're right, that they need a full width garage to make the van work. I mean, otherwise, why would they go through the expense of doing it?
And the building is a duplex. It's a two-family that might, at this point, might be occupied by the same family, but
Well, it could be that single garage is for the other unit.
yeah, sure.
I mean, otherwise, it's like I would, you know, if it were a single family, I'd suggest mowing down all three and building 3 stalls that were similar, but
Yeah,
not my position. So
okay.
I wonder if if that garage has a divider between the 2 stalls. I mean, I'm just curious now that you mentioned the 2-family that they're actually separated garages.
oh,
I mean,
that's
Oh, yeah, they have 2 different keypads, don't they?
you know, because you wouldn't always assume. I mean, these people have had I think they've had family in there for a long time, but
Yes.
if you were assigning each person a separate garage, like the ones at Washington School, you probably want a wall between them.
yeah, for storage and security.
Yeah.
Good point. I didn't even think about that.
That's what I have. I own a 2-family, and that's what we have. Is it's a garage like this with a separation partition wall in between the 2 stalls.
I guess I'm still confused then. Why this isn't the van right here, is it? This dark colored vehicle?
Well,
I
we've
mean,
seen
why-
a couple of images with different, there's,
Yeah.
you know, there's that one. There was also a red vehicle.
Okay. But couldn't the vehicle come in this left door and then the ramp extend right? I'm not. The vehicle has to sit in the middle apparently when it's loading. And I'm sorry if that's more than we're supposed to ask of people, but
Well, I think it just helps us make informed decisions to know more details. I think that's what you're,
and the height is a question too. I mean, that's I don't know. I'm sure they thought that through, whatever the height requirements are for, because it's not as, you know, when we have a central post like that, that's usually providing some support. So they have to create a new header that goes, you know, the full width and.
right, because I would think
It
that would be
looks-
pretty, it
It
looks
looks
pretty
to me like
beefy.
on the drawing that they provided, the garage door is taller than the existing. The existing one has a large panel, you
Yep.
know, there's above it, and this one,
Yeah.
the door looks like it goes right up underneath the eave.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a little bit unfortunate. I think that larger panel that you're referring to, Mark, is a nice detail that expresses that load-bearing span
Yeah.
as a lintel in a post and lintel sort of system, and the fact that that's picking up that post and lintel language, and then there's these 2 smaller stalls will be lost by this. So maybe we could provide some guidance that they try to make sure that they retain some of that header thickness if possible.
Can I, we normally do not approve things without having specifications to some degree. Like we don't have a cut sheet for a garage door here. We have a drawing. Right. I didn't see any cut sheet in the packet. We don't see measurements that specify the width and height of the garage door that they are purporting to replace. Yeah, I don't think I saw anything that talked specifically about dimensions.
No, you're correct.
And without that, I think it's really hard and without the homeowners, I think it's hard for us to make any sort of an informed decision. I don't feel comfortable making an informed decision here and then later being like, wow, that garage door now spans all the way up to right under the eave.
Well, should we table it?
I just, normally we have
Yeah.
something more, like we don't even know the material. We say the material is going to be the same. It says that, but you know, we have another instance in the packet where we thought we were going to get a wood fence and we have something else. And not that I'm suggesting the Layman's would do anything like that at all. I'm just saying that I don't know that we have the same amount of information that we would normally have with another application.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
having a drawing that shows the framing around the door would be helpful.
You know, we had that when they did their side addition, and also when they did the that little area, the addition that from the garage to the into the home itself. But we just don't have all that here.
I wouldn't be hesitant to table this, just on the basis of, you may remember they came in March last year, initially wanting quick approval on this so that they could get all the work done.
Yeah.
And they're not moving very quickly on any of the other improvements that were already approved.
And those COAs have a, you know, lifespan. They've got a shelf life on them. So
Yeah, if you table it, you buy them another month on the back end.
yeah, which is not a bad thing for, I don't think that's a bad thing for them. So that's kind of where my head's at, unless somebody feels differently. But I just think it might, since we have a couple other ones to go through and we're missing information that we would normally have. That's my thought.
Mhm.
But I cannot make a motion.
I motion to table this.
Anybody want to take a second?
Yes, support.
Thank you. All right, so let me go through the, oops, where did I just go? All right. Any other comments before we do a roll call? So this is the motion to table. So approve or deny the motion to table. Cook,
Approve.
Fowler,
Approve.
Lambers,
Approve.
Nieves,
Approve.
Berlinski,
Approve.
Shay.
Approve.
I also approve. So the motion to table carries for 97 and 99 West 12th Street. So we want to roll right into 229 West 12th Street. Just move down the
Yeah.
road.
Yep, Vince Hankin's property. If you look at the rear, the photographs of the rear, you can see what they're proposing to do. It's the north side of the building. This probably is a good place to start. If, well, okay, pick one. Yeah, start with that one. The door on the left exists. The door on the right the door exists on the right, but the roof over it does not exist. What they're proposing to do is a new roof. I would say exactly the same, but they can't quite do it because the door is so close to the wall. But a roof very similar to what's over the door on the left, to be located over this door. Same materials. The antenna is the same brackets. As you can see on the left, or I'm sorry, on the right side, you know, you get a little section through that. Somehow that was cut off a little bit too, but and you can kind of sympathize with them when you see the photograph of that back door that they'd like to cover. Another example, that roof, it's where two roofs come together and the drainage comes right down on top of that sort of semicircular spot right there. So they get a lot of ice buildup. I have mentioned to them that they will still have ice buildup there. It just will be not necessarily on the landing that they've got. But unless they do a little changing of the landscape, you know, regrading out there, they probably will end up with that brick path as remaining icy. but at least they can get out the door and get off the landing. Is their intention. I do not have details. They've essentially said, you know, in the elevation, they've essentially said they will do everything they can to match that. The only challenge will be what holds up the east side of that roof and how they work a bracket in there or attach to the side of the roof of the wall.
Because otherwise they'd have to attach to the side that as you're leaving, as you're looking at the house, they'd have to attach to the wall that's to the left.
Yeah,
Mhm.
probably.
Well, they probably would want to do that anyway, because you probably have to put flashing in there. I would think you'd want flashing to, you know, as the siding, you're gonna cut through the siding, I think. But who knows? Phil, do you know if the little roof on the other door, was that original to the house?
That one right there.
Yeah,
Scroll up a little bit. There you go.
I have no idea.
I mean, it looks really nice and, you know,
Mhm.
it's an unusual kind of style, but it also echoes that one little sort of eyebrow window above,
Mhm.
which is kind of cool.
Mhm. I wonder if Nick has an opinion as to whether that kind of thing could have been original. Not putting you on the spot, but
The eyebrow window dormer thing, or the other little roof over the door?
the little roof over the door.
I was wondering that. I don't know, but I do kind of question how shallow the slope is of those brackets. That something doesn't look quite right with that.
Mm.
So it doesn't tell you a whole lot, but if I were talking to them, I would wonder if they would be open to doing something different with those brackets on both of them. But I mean, you can see those rafters on the underside of that, and they have a sort of a cornice molding around the edge, or at
Oh,
and you could look at those details and try to determine whether they match the rest of the house or whatever. But something about the proportions of that bracket that seem a little bit off to me. Yeah.
And now that you say that, Nick, it seems to me like the sketch that they have shows that bracket a little different angle than in fact there is, don't you think?
I think it's pretty similar in the sketch. It's almost like they're taking the pitch of the roof and just mirroring it and using that same pitch for the bracket.
Okay.
So to me it looks kind of similar, like they've properly represented it in the sketch. But it was the sketch that I saw first that I thought, gosh, those brackets don't look, something going on with those. And then sure enough, it's the same in the picture. So I don't know. I would just, if I was thinking about the level of craftsmanship of the original house and the attention to those finer points, I would wonder if they would have kind of given it a little bit more of a graceful curve or a different angle. But I honestly don't really know. They also seem kind of thin. Like those members supporting that seem kind of thin, and that doesn't seem all that characteristic about those types of little details either. But again, I don't really know.
And it seems at this point, they're simply matching what
They're
was
just
already
matching.
there. And
Exactly.
they seem to be doing a good job of that, whether the original is a
agree.
good idea or not.
Yep.
It looks like they've got other plans though for the house.
How so, Kim? What?
Oh, I'm looking at the rest of the drawing.
We got other stuff going on.
Yeah. New windows and trim. New division trim,
Okay.
new siding. I'm just looking at I'm looking at what they submitted.
But all we're talking about right now is that little porch roof, right?
That's it.
And once again, I wish they were here because it would be fun to at least discuss, you know, whether that was original to the house or, I mean, they may not know, but maybe there's a better way to do both of them.
Yeah, there could be, you know, maybe.
Well, and in looking at the other plans that they've got, at least in this drawing, it'd be nice to know timing because we might, unless they're doing something immediately, might encourage them to wait and consider some of these options.
Well, we can table this one too.
I just hate approving or denying something without having representation here because
I would say that in principle, if they had a builder or if they could say with some confidence that, yeah, that's an original little canopy back there. And we're just matching it. That's all we want is to just match what we already have. I mean, it's a very reasonable request that they need to have something over that door.
Yep.
And matching it makes a lot of sense. It's just sort of a minor question of if this is a bigger project to you guys and you have interest in delving a little deeper, we might be able to help you with these brackets if they're not original, and if that's an opportunity that they want to take advantage of as a part of this larger process.
It seems to me if they were urgently wanting to put this up, they would have been at the meeting today, but no,
that's sort of my feeling too, unless something, I mean, things can always come up,
Sure,
right?
sure,
But I
yeah.
feel like if somebody's really kind of hot to trot, we usually have representation.
I mean, that's the only drawback to tabling it is if they've got a carpenter ready to put it up next week or however how long it takes Phil to get the paperwork. You know,
Well, if they
haven't-
if
I have
You
not
haven't
heard
heard.
that from them. They've been talking about this for probably 2 months now.
oh, okay.
So I don't sense urgency, but they should answer that question.
Well, in worst case scenario, if they are urgent and we had to call a special meeting, you just need how many days to post it, Phil, and then if you could get a quorum, it would be a pretty quickie, right?
Do that.
There's also the option of just approving it and providing, along with that approval, a recommendation for them to look at that. But because ultimately one of those is already there. And so I think it's pretty reasonable for them to be matching it. And we'd be happy to help them if they want to propose something else or brainstorm something else. But
Yeah, that's true too. So if we approve as is with the caveat that it must match what's existing.
yeah, match existing, and then also the not the caveat, but the offer would be, and also, you know, there's some people on the commission who wonder if the original one is truly original, the existing one rather is truly original, and if it's not, you know, you might be, would you be open to exploring different brackets as you do a larger project kind of thing?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I think even if that one isn't original, and they're not interested in changing it as part of the thing, I think I'd still approve them adding a new one to match it. So at that point, if they are urgent, let's go ahead and get them approved. If they're not and want to look at it, we can let them know, meet again and kind of go over some other bracket options, but I'm good with it as proposed.
And we have operators standing by to offer help.
That's right. Act now.
That's right.
Only for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We're the government, we're here to help.
That's right.
We're not a design committee, but we wish we were.
That's right. We play one. We play one on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anybody have the motion in their head?
I move to approve the application for a certificate of appropriateness as submitted in per testimony for the front. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Hey now,
Front door. Sorry.
it's C, so that would be,
Oh, let's see, that's my fault. Yep,
Well,
Usually Mallory puts the right thing in front of me.
you got the right address, but you don't have it's not a front door replacement. It's
yeah, it's a roof.
a roof addition.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so okay, I'm reading the right one. It's just all right. I got it.
Yep,
Okay,
my
for
fault. Sorry.
addition of what is it? Addition of a roof.
Yep. Small roof.
For 229 West 12th Street, based on the local guidelines and Secretary of Interior Standard Number 9, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property, and the new work shall be differentiated from old and shall be compatible with massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment.
Support.
any discussion before I do roll call? Okay. Cook,
Approve.
Fowler,
Approve.
Lambert,
Approve.
Nieves,
Approve.
Berlinski,
Approve.
Shay.
Approve.
Mrs. Ike and I also approve, so the motion carries. And we are rolling on to D.
Don't see any new people joining the meeting, so I think we're without the owner on this one. This
That's
was another one.
unfortunate.
It is, this one particularly.
Yeah.
272 West 10th Street. This is a project, installation of a fence that apparently they had come in for a permit to install a shorter wood fence. It was approved. It was not forwarded to us. It was not forwarded for preservation review at the time, and I couldn't tell you why it wasn't. That was just missed as a referral on this. But they went ahead and installed a fence. But when the inspector went back to see what work was done, it wasn't the fence that they had gone after the permit for. It was a 6-foot fence. It wasn't wood, it was vinyl. So what you have is a 6-foot vinyl fence that runs around the backyard. You can see in that photograph, that's looking at it from the front on the west side of the property. That big tree you see kind of right behind the gate, that explains why the fence in the other photograph looks like it's bowing out, because in fact it is. They must have hit roots or did something, so they've got the fence kind
Oh,
of
gosh.
not fitting as neatly as it should. But and then on the other side, there's also a gate, and that's the other side, and then the fence runs along the back as well. So it was installed without any historic review. It was not what was approved for the permit. So they have submitted, hoping that they can keep it.
Was it approved The 4-foot fence approved across the driveway?
I did not see any plan showing where it was approved.
Okay.
It was enclosing the rear yard, so
Okay.
So what has the building department said about this? Because it sounds like they didn't match what they were approved to do from them either.
yeah. Well, they realized that it wasn't referred to historic, and they've, thrown it to us and said, is what has been done, is that acceptable? Basically is what they're asking.
Oh,
Is
come
that-
on.
They want us to be the bad guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so
totally.
is Dick and Jane Properties a rental company then? And then the
That's
Ms.
my understanding.
Diaz is the person living in the home?
Well,
I'm looking at the letter from Danielle.
Yep.
For code enforcement, and it looks like it's, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's
at.
addressed in Huffington.
Mhm.
and my only communication with them has been, I don't have an email address or phone. My only communication was after our inspections department sent out a letter. I also sent out a letter and said, we need to get you to file an application. They did not call me back. They just submitted what you have before them.
And who submitted it? Was it Dick and Jane Properties or Ms. Diaz?
It's under Diaz's name, Olga Diaz Guillen.
Okay. Yep, I see.
So she built the fence on a rental property?
Well, that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, me too. That's what it looked like to me as a rental property, but I can't imagine. I suppose if you told the landlord I want a fence and you were willing to put it up, I guess maybe they'd let you, but yeah, the whole thing is kind of confusing.
And I have not heard back from the rental company. The only response we got was the application from Olga Diaz,
What's the address again?
272 West 10th.
Thanks.
And I tried calling because we didn't have an email. So I tried calling them yesterday and left a voicemail and never heard anything back either. Just letting them know the meeting was on Zoom and to try to get an email to send them this information.
Well, in the city records, it shows that Dick and Jane Properties is the owner, not Ms. Diaz.
Yeah, because that's who the letter to the from the inspector was, to Dick and Jane Properties.
Right. So my question is,
Yeah.
can Ms. Diaz even request a fence if she doesn't own the home? Because it says the property owner is Dick and Jane Properties.
Is
Yeah.
Spot the
We own
secretary?
that
then?
LLC.
Yeah, and they've owned it since 2004. No, that's not true. It used to be owned by the Leslies, who are Richard and Jane. So I'm assuming that is their new, that they LLC'd that.
That's some good detective work.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to know how many properties we have had around here that have been rental properties, and I needed to call the owners track them down at 2 a.m. when there are naked people in the streets. So I've become very adept at the city's property records. Thank you to City of Holland. Your property records are excellent and are very
Yeah, they
appreciated.
are.
Yep,
Yes,
they are.
Mhm.
I'm very big compliments there.
I think we should table this then, because this is going to be a rough one. It's going to be a sensitive one, and we don't have any clarity of who's the stakeholder here.
I don't
What-
see even if you just try to go back to it, I do not see that the woman whose name is on the application is the owner of the property.
Unless she's buying on a land contract, which we aren't aware of.
Right.
But they should tell us that if that's the case. That's not, I'd question her standing to even make the application.
Yeah, that's
What-
exactly right.
Is it significant that we table it and not simply deny it? Or who has another feeling on that?
If
Well-
she has permission from the landlord to build a fence, is that, do we have to, I'm just musing out loud. If she said, hey, I want to put up a fence and the landlord says, fine, have at it, is, can she legally request, or do you have to deal with the homeowner? I don't know what the law.
I think we would need something from the homeowner saying that was all right. Otherwise, I could decide I wanted to put up a fence on your property. And I
Right.
could, it's not, something's not right here. Or we are missing a piece of information. Maybe that's what I should say. I think we're missing a piece of information.
Phil, if you know, who applied for the building permit to do this?
Well, I noticed the letter that went out had both their names on it. It had Dick and Jane and
Okay.
Olga Diaz. So,
But they didn't apply for a building permit because that's the point of the letter. It says you did not get a building permit and you didn't get a COA. So they're in 2 violations, but I think it was Justin pointed out that they're asking us to come down with our hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like they did get a building permit for a 4-foot wood fence.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But it's not on record for this because the only building permit that I show in the city records is from 1999. They've got a lot of enforcement. I mean, they've got pages and pages of enforcement issues, but I'm not seeing any building permit, and they don't have, and so maybe it wouldn't be in here, but there are no building permits other than one in 2009, or sorry, 1999, even older.
Well, then I'm very confused that Danielle would say on August, a permit was issued to install a 4-foot wooden fence, August of 2019.
Yeah, that is not.
Okay.
That's not I'm not seeing any of that in the building department permits.
So that's another question that I guess
Yeah.
we need to answer internally. Well, I'd like to either deny it or table it.
So if we table it, what happens with that?
nothing would happen until you take it up again. So if you table it to next month's meeting, we can get some answers, hopefully, to the questions you're asking.
Is that something then, Phil, that you have to chase down? I mean, how does that happen? Or
Well,
how,
yeah.
what, I mean, I don't want to create a bunch of extra work for you, and there's just so many,
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to talk to Danielle.
like a mystery.
You know,
Well, if we denied it, would it put their feet to the fire a little bit more about coming up with a solution for this?
it makes my life probably a little easier because then
Well, and that's what we should shoot for, because we don't care.
Yeah,
I vote
actually,
for
that's a
that.
good point. I'm absolutely fine denying it, knowing that we don't, because first of all, we don't even know who the the
We don't
person
know
listed is
who's-
not the homeowner.
Yeah.
I would suggest you get some clarification. I would suggest table it, get some clarification. The fence isn't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. Keeping it up another month isn't.
But that won't
Because-
create undue stress for you.
If we deny it, then the next step is they would have to remove the fence, right?
Well, and yeah, unless they appealed it. But that's
I can do that.
a big leap
Or-
for somebody.
I mean, that's why I'm just
Like 6
wondering if we
months
want to
later.
go that route right away or wait and get more information and we can still make that decision. It just seems to me we're going down if we deny the application, then we're going down a road of the remedy is to take it down.
Right.
But if we table it, then we have to make this decision again next month, depending on whether they reply to us or not. There's nothing for them to come to our attention.
But I
Right.
think in the meantime, we, we meaning Phil, but I mean, finding out who are we can a homeowner, can a renter submit an application for improvements on a property that they don't own? I mean, that seems like somebody should, maybe Danielle can tell us that, but somebody ought to be able to tell us whether we should even be dealing with Diaz or whether it's got to be through the homeowner.
Yeah, I would agree with what you just said. And in fact, is Diaz have any interest in the property? Is she part of Dick and Jane, or somehow tied to them? John's suggestion, maybe buying a land contract could be that sort of circumstance. But yeah, I think just figuring out who's doing what here and where's the permit and what did it say and who submitted that is part of just getting some information on this.
I can guess who Dick and Jane are based on previous sale records.
Right.
My next life, I'm going to come back as a detective. Okay.
I'd move to table this until the next meeting.
I support.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll do roll call. Cook,
Approve.
Fowler,
Approve.
Lambers,
Approve.
Nieves,
Approve.
Berlinski,
Approve.
Shay.
Approve.
Ike and I also approve. Motion carries. So this is tabled. All right, what's next on the hit list? Oh,
Just
administrative
had one
approval.
administrative approval.
Yeah,
It was at Terpstra's house on the corner of 11th and Van Rolte. They've pretty much finished the exterior construction of that. And they have applied for a fence and it was approved administratively. It's really got two parts to it. Directly behind the garage would be a 6-foot tall dog-eared wood vertical board privacy fence. And then from the corner of the garage up to the front, towards the front to the corner of the house, that L shape would be a 54-inch tall ornamental, black ornamental aluminum picket fence. I call it a picket fence. Similar to what's been approved probably 2 blocks away on Van Rolte and elsewhere within the district.
cool.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then the last item, I really don't have any discussion for you on this. I did send you late this afternoon a copy of the National Register, the document. It's the 4th draft, but it's the document for the Holland Historic District Edition portion of the National Register districts. So I'm just asking you take a look at that. I'm pretty comfortable. It's got everything in it other than maybe a few photographs. It's got everything in it that I anticipate putting into it. But take a look at it. I've rearranged things. I've pulled some of the heavier material and put it as appendices. So it's a little bit reorganized, but take a look at it and see if you're comfortable with it. And if you can, get me comments as soon as you read it, as soon as you have those thoughts, and I'll check back with you probably mid-month and just to remind you and prod you for some comments. I'd like to wrap this one up as quickly as we can, and I'm in the middle of working on the downtown district as well, that document. So I should have that for you next month. And that's all I have.
Okay. Anything else we have to cover? I don't think so. All right. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Move to
Thank
adjourn.
you. Have a
Support.
second?
Support.
Thank you. Cook,
Approve.
Fowler,
Approve.
Lambers,
Approve.
Nieves,
Approve.
Walensky,
Approve.
Shay,
Approve.
Ike, I approve. Meeting adjourned. Good to see you all.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you, Kim.
You too.
All
Bye-bye.
right, take care, everybody.
I guess there's nothing for me to come in and sign for Mallory. So.
Not in a hurry.
Nope.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Yummy, yummy.
Yay.
All
Bye, all.
take care.
All
Thank you.
right, take care, everybody. Bye.